Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Spencer.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we are going to review Dune Imperium. It is published by Legendary Games, right? Legendary?
Nailed it.
Yep.
You are so good at this.
Yes, Legendary Games.
Direwolf.
Direwolf.
Right?
Yep.
And it is Paul Dennen.
Paul Dennen.
Paul Dennen is
however
the
you say your
designer.
last name.
Designer of Clank.
Yep.
This is a worker placement, deck building,
builder.
resource management
Indeed.
game. It is based on the Dune IP, which is so hot right now.
Yeah.
Right?
The movie's getting ready to come out, and it's based on that. Like, the artwork is kind of based on that film.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
You'll
Can't even
recognize
tell
some
which the
famous
actors
faces.
are.
let's go
Oscar
into
Isaac.
Yeah.
before we get into the art. Let's go real quick through gameplay.
Yep.
Sure.
So deck builder, standard deck builder. Everybody starts with like the same deck of 10 cards.
Yep.
You draw 5.
Yep.
The interesting thing about this deck builder is, unlike other deck builders, you drop all 5 of your cards basically out. You
Do all your
resolve
stuff,
all
done.
of them, and then
Right.
it's the next person's turn. And this one, your cards have multiple functions.
Yep.
So the lighter area at the top, if you play that, you are going to gives you the option to go to that space, or maybe if it's got some text down here or some symbols down here, which would give you an effect, or you can save it later. When you don't want to do the lighter shaded part of your card anymore, you could then just decide to reveal all of your cards that you have left, and then you just do
The
this
value on
part,
the bottom.
the value on the
Yeah,
bottom.
so instead of taking like one full turn, you get like 2 options. You can take an agent turn and place a guy and use
Right.
the top part, or you can do the reveal turn and buy stuff.
And the tough part is you're really constricted by,
yeah, it limits your movement, and it burns your brain sometimes trying to figure out like how are you going to make this work.
because if you're going to play an agent, you're going to go to one of these spaces
Yep.
and resolve where you go. Only one person per space, which is so brutal. Makes it really tight. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this. And then also at the end, when you buy in the diamonds, you've got purchasing power. So there's these cards over here, which are always available. And then you've got a lineup that refills as you buy cards.
yeah, which is a little bit different than most deck builders.
Right. Ascension plays in a
Some
similar
do,
way.
but not many.
But not many. Yeah, most of the time you got to just deal with the lineup you've got.
Yep.
And then, so yeah, you are gathering resources. You're garrisoning troops. You're sending them into conflict. You're maybe getting spice on the board. The icons are really solid, man, because the icon on the top is going to basically is the designator for the location. So on the card,
Triangles,
and then,
circles.
Yep, pentagons, right?
Pentagons, yep. So
And-
that way, like even colorblind people, it
Right?
makes it easy.
That's great.
I like it.
And then right beneath, some of them might have an additional cost. Like this costs 2 water here, 2 water. There's one that I was going to do, and I realized I didn't have the 2 influence.
Yep, and it's
to
the
do
only
it.
space on the board where it requires a specific amount.
But
of
again,
influence.
it makes sense
Thematically.
thematically.
It makes sense. Yep.
And then you've got on the side, you've got all these guilds, which then
Influence tracks,
you
yep.
are trying to gain influence with. And man, it's tough.
yeah.
And not in a bad way.
Right. No. Yeah.
No, it's tough as in it's challenging because you've got all these options and everything does really cool stuff. And you basically can do maybe 2 of them a turn.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because you only start with the 2 agents, right? So then you can
Right.
work up and unlock a 3rd agent.
Which you should do, which I did not do,
Yeah.
which is why my score is down
way
here.
down here. But no. Actually, though, I think Dan one time we played, he only had his 2 agents until like the second to last turn,
Yeah.
and he still ended up winning.
Yep.
So it's not a game breaker. You don't have to do it.
And then, of course, you've got everybody's got a house card. You play as a member of a house,
Cool asymmetric abilities.
which give everybody a different ability. They've got a
Yeah, technically 2 abilities. You get like a passive one and an active one, kind
Right.
of. Is
Yep.
how I would describe it.
yes, and then you've got like a signet ring. So everybody's got a signet ring card in their deck, and that will allow you to trigger
Your specific
your
one.
specific special ability. And so, just since we're talking about those cards, the art design in this game is incredible.
Yeah.
Top notch.
I really like it.
If
Yeah.
you look at IMDb for the Dune movie, the new one that is coming out, you will recognize Oscar Isaac, right? And Timothy Chalamet,
Dave Bautista.
and Bautista over there. I mean, there's
Uh,
just
Jason Momoa is in the. He's not one of the main big cards, but he's in the deck.
yeah, and Brolin's right there.
Yep,
you know?
Josh Brolin's right there.
So I mean,
It's
the
neat.
art design is great. I
Yeah.
am Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say are done by a bunch of people, but we'll just say the first name on the list is Clay Brooks. So we'll just name drop that person really quick. But yeah, all the people that worked on the art design for this game, not just the awesome artistic art, but also the layout of the board and
Layout
stuff.
of the board's really good.
Really good. This reminds me a lot of the kind of stuff we talked about viticulture, which is how everything is just so placed very intelligently and makes sense. You know, I talk about it when teaching it and stuff. The fact that all the locations where you can have guys enter combat are literally
Like,
pictures of
on
the
the
planet,
planet, yeah.
because you
Yep.
have to be on the planet obviously to fight on the planet. So
Yep.
it's just this tiny little subconscious almost clue being like these are the ones where you can fight on the planet. Just very very well done.
Yeah.
layout
And,
here.
and I need to also mention, because I forgot earlier when we were talking about, there's also intrigue cards.
Yes,
which can be
intrigue
pl-
is very important.
which could be end game victory points. It could be things that give you bonuses to combat, or it could be plot cards which you play during your turn,
Yep.
which might give you additional. Well, usually do give you additional benefits. Sometimes they're free. Sometimes you have to pay for them. You might need to pay spice or money. What's the money called again?
Solari.
Solari.
Oh, Solari. I don't know how it's
Solari.
pronounced.
Sure.
Tomato.
Yeah. Good point.
And then at the end of each round, you're also going to
Have conflicts.
you're going to have a conflict. So you're going to have a conflict card out, and you've got a first, second, and third place if you're playing with four
people.
four players. So there's a lot of different moving pieces.
Yeah, what I think is kind of neat is like where you can earn victory points across the board. Eventually, you're gonna have to win some conflicts because even if you have all the influence that there's available and all of the alliances, it's not enough points to win the game. You're gonna have to win some conflicts.
Sure, unless you have
Unless
the
you have some good
luckiest
int-
end game cards.
Yeah, unless you get
ever.
real lucky with the intrigue cards and get the end
You're
game points
gonna
there.
need this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really cannot ignore.
The conflicts.
Yeah,
Yep.
you have to really be in on all the aspects of the game.
Sure, and the kind of cool thing, little mention about the conflict here too, is that they clearly get better as the game goes on.
Correct.
So you can almost purposely allow people to win the first two and just build up a big army here, so that when the later ones start coming, you can just
Have a
rush
mass.
this huge army.
I had a hard time getting a
kinda
bunch of guys at once, though.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
I'm gonna just move these
yeah.
two,
That's,
and
that's where a space like that comes into effect, right? Because then you get to add guys to your garrison, and then later on you get to move them in.
right.
Yeah.
But my problem was I could only move in two at a time.
Sure.
So I could have guys in the garrison, but
Yeah.
they're just sitting in the garrison.
Like-
they're not getting out into the
Yeah.
conflict. Again, not because of poor game design, but because of poor player ability.
Yeah. Well, it was your first time playing.
was,
too. Dan
it
and I
was.
have played a few times, so that's why we're way up here.
I would say multiple plays really do. You really will benefit.
Yeah, it really opens it up
Definitely.
and really like allows you to figure out how everything works and balances.
If
back
you're
and forth.
struggling on your first play,
It-
don't.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
It also though
Don't
is a
stress
game
it.
to where you will you'll get better at it with multiple plays. I don't think you'll ever perfect this game. This game does
Right.
everything it can to keep you constantly on your toes. Like the tiniest thing happens and you're like, okay, I gotta rethink my
Yeah.
entire
well,
turn.
there's so
Right.
many variables between the spaces being blocked off, the potential cards that could come up in the deck.
Sure.
Not to
card-
mention the intrigue cards.
right, the cards you draw
Yeah,
having
you could
different
potentially
symbols.
draw a hand that only lets you go to blue circles this turn. You're just
Yeah,
like,
well, give
okay,
them the
how do
blue
I take
circles.
advantage of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, or I can't because I don't have water, and these are the
Sure.
ones that are open right now.
And there were a few times when it seemed one of you had already planned out your turn, and then
Yeah.
right before his turn,
then
everything changes.
Yeah,
and it's like,
exactly.
Right.
Well,
well,
now I can't do everything in my
what?
turn. Yeah.
So there's a lot of moving pieces, but in a weird way, it is not super hard to learn.
Yeah, and it's not fiddly bits like moving pieces. There's just a lot of
Right. Yeah, I
things
should-
kind of in motion that would
should be
seem-
clear about
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's,
Yes.
it's not fiddly at all.
I don't think so.
Sure. No.
I don't think so at all.
So going into components,
Sure.
I have pretty much nothing but good to say about it, especially because I'll just start out by saying you can get a $50 upgrade pack for this game that upgrades everything into miniatures, and it looks stunning.
Yep.
I don't think Bob or either of us are going to get it.
Yeah, I don't think it needs
because
it.
The game is
And
perfectly serviceable.
To be clear, Bob and I like the fancy bits.
We do.
So
Yeah,
for
me
you
too.
to
Say, I
for
don't
you to
need
be
it.
so happy with
Yeah.
this game,
Well, yeah, I did luck out because the first player marker it comes with this worm token here, and Tim was nice enough to give me a mini from another game that I use in place of that, which
Right.
is super cool. I'm not sure if you want to show it up.
it's
a dole
yeah, it's
from
a
Cthulhu
mythos.
Wars.
It's a Cthulhu
But
mythos thing.
yeah, we'll
Talk
paint it
about
up like a
overdoing
sandworm, and
it.
it'll be pretty cool.
Right, so that's the one
Yeah.
the one
Upgrade.
luxury you will allow yourself.
But
for
like
this.
the cubes work, right? Because they fit in the tracks
Yep.
well, they fit in the garrison. They like I don't know. And the agents, they look cool. They're not just standard meeples. They
Right.
look fancy.
Yeah, the Mentat is his own shape.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here, like,
I don't. I mean, I don't really think.
No,
it
I-
needs the special upgrade.
I think that the components where it's at is
Is-
I mean,
is
it's
solid.
just
I mean,
really good.
They do give you nice sleeves. I just have standard sleeves on mine, but they do give you nice sleeves if you buy the
If you buy the upgrade,
upgrade. So that is nice too.
I mean, the metal coins might be interesting. Like if you
Sure.
had like
yeah, like
crystal-y
nicer water.
looking,
Yeah.
and like kind of there's things you could do without going crazy, but
Right.
I mean,
but it's super functional and it works just fine.
yeah, and it looks good. Everything is very clear as to its
Yep,
purpose.
that's what it is.
Right.
Yep.
One of my favorite things, components and design-wise, is the game plays 1 to 4 players. They give you 8 factions, so there's 4 houses, and they give you 2 of each house. So you will never play. You will always play with 4 of the 8 max, which means the other 4 turn into everyone's player 8s.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
is
That's a-
stunning design.
yeah.
That's a
so
really-
so smart to me.
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
a really good idea, and we love player aids.
Yeah,
We're big
yeah,
on
and it's a
player
very
aids.
well broken down.
And it's a great size
Yeah.
for a player. It's so easy to read these here and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things about the game. When I saw, it's a 4-player game, they give you 8 players because the other 4, you'll always have enough player aids for everyone.
Which
Yeah.
again is just
Stunning.
it's just like a sign of really good design, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they paid attention to a lot
it's
of
clear the
things.
designers play games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
right.
This would be nice.
Yeah.
to
Right,
have.
right.
Yeah.
They just do a lot of things really well. So complexity, I'm gonna say that this is like on the heavier
This
end
is
of a
yeah.
medium
Tor-
weight.
yeah, Tor-
I
yep,
agree.
I
wouldn't say
agree.
it's heavy, but it is because it could play light and it could play heavy. So that means it's medium
Yeah,
for me.
right.
But it's definitely on the heavier edge, I think,
Yeah.
just because of how much. There are a lot of players, including myself, that don't suffer from any kind of analysis paralysis usually.
Right.
And I feel like unless you're just blatantly not caring and throwing your cards around, like, I guess I'll do this turn, this game almost forces you to like have analysis paralysis. You're
Yeah.
constantly having to look at everything that's happening, and every decision you're making is constantly changing, like this RPG skill tree.
Yep.
You know, and so the game. This is one of the most thinky games for how simple of it is. I mean, it plays in like an hour.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
simple worker
Yeah, we
placement
taught Tim
deck
about an
building
hour,
game,
10 minutes.
and yet the amount of thinking you have to do in your turn feels deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think that if you've got somebody that likes like deck builders, and plays even light deck builders, but understands the concept of deck builders, I'm pretty sure this is so easy to learn that
Yes.
you could incept them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And they
Yeah.
don't even realize they're playing a heavier
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
game.
It's-
And I would say anybody also that is into Dune, like
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're into Dune and they're open to games, even if it's like early on for
That
them,
theme will grab
the
because
theme
it's
is going to
so
grab them because
thematic.
the cards are all on point. Like every card that I saw made sense to the books and and
Right.
things like that. And so that it's kind of a tricky thing with the accessibility,
I
right?
agree,
Right.
'cause
It's
this
not
is
as
a game.
That's not accessible as Clank might be because I think Clank is a little simpler because it's
Yeah.
more
Yes.
straightforward.
It's more straightforward. There's not as many moving pieces.
Right.
Not fiddly, but like the gears. I
Sure,
think
sure.
of gears.
Yeah.
Right? You move this cog over here, and different things are happening over here, which is again on theme. If
Right,
you
right,
think
right,
about
right,
like
right.
the way Dune and like
And
the
way it
politics.
works.
I've always
of Dune
said that
work.
about how thinky the game is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything is against you.
Yeah.
and it's constantly making your turn difficult. and you just have
Arrakis
to
is
try to come
just
out on
constantly
top.
trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So but with the complexity, what I was going to say was this is always my kind of test, right? Is I do think of this as a pretty heavy game, but I don't think I'd have any problems teaching this to my mother.
Oh,
right?
sure.
Like all the basic mechanics are super simple to understand. It's just that once you start being like, okay, so this does this and this does this, and you can really get into it and see the depth that's there. But you can teach someone, and it's simple, to understand and to
Yeah.
teach. So yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, there's not a lot of things like to teach. There's just a lot of things to figure out like how it goes on and like
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
will trigger down the
Yeah,
line.
a bit of thinking ahead once
Yeah.
you know what's
And
going on.
Right.
it implements a mechanic that when it shows up in games, I don't think it is used all the time or as much as maybe I'd like to see, but the multi-purpose cards.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that
I
in a
like
game,
yeah, this
right?
does that really
Me
well.
too.
It adds
Yeah.
like a whole level
Right.
of complexity.
Yeah, because like, oh, my thing has a lot of buy on here, and I really want that card up there, but I can go to any space I want to go. So it's like, do I want to go to a space? Do I want to save
Right.
it and buy the card? It's like, what do I do?
There's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just really good stuff with
I,
that.
I also like the fact that like while you do have like to start with the 2 agents that you can take agent turns with, you can stop your turn at any time and like I'm not going to place an agent. I'm just going to reveal all my cards
Yeah.
and buy
Start
that big
buying
guy
stuff.
and like
Yeah.
jump ahead the turn or the buy turns
Yeah.
and grab it before somebody else
I
can.
had a game. I had a round when I was playing with Bob that I didn't place any guy because I revealed my hand and I had like 12 money in it, and I was just like, okay, this is my turn because I
Yeah.
can get some like there were incredible cards out there,
yeah.
And
I
you
was
could
just
get
like, I'm getting
multiples.
this.
Yeah, and I like that it refills right away.
Yeah.
Like, like we were saying earlier. Yeah.
So it's weird because you're wasting an entire round of the game. You know, imagine a worker
But you're
placement
not
game.
wasting. You are just
Sure.
dedicating.
I'm just saying, imagine a worker
Dedicating.
placing
There you
game where everyone else
I'm not gonna
places their
place the
agents. You're
workers.
like, I just won't place workers this time, but
Yeah.
you still gain so much.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
So so accessibility it is going to be a little tricky. You're going to have to read your group. If they're already playing like medium weight games, you're fine.
Right.
If
Yeah.
they like deck builders, you're fine. I wouldn't say if they like worker placement that they'll love this, because I do think you have to like deck building, because deck building is an
Oh,
important
it's integral.
aspect
Yeah.
of it. But if they love Dune or have any interest in Dune, this is going to be a game that I think is easy enough to get your foot in the door, and then you will be rewarded for multiple plays. Components are great. It was not hard to learn. You guys taught it to me like in minutes.
Yeah.
It was just, we didn't even walk through every space. It's just like this symbol means this, and the
Right.
iconography really then just starts to
Come into play.
Exactly.
come into play. And again,
Super straightforward.
the player aids are just,
They're nice.
they're great.
Yep.
And anytime you can have a good player aid that everybody can have one, it just stops that, oh, can
I'm
I
a
see the
fan
rule book?
of that.
And
It
you've got to
also-
like pass crap around.
It also, of course, has the amazing thing in the back of the rule book
Iconography
that describes
guide.
everything more in depth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Which is super nice.
And it's right on the back, so
That's
you can
right.
just look at it
Yeah.
and have it right there. So there's no fiddling around and looking through. I personally did not even
Look at the rule book.
open the rule book.
Well, that's kind of your
But I'm
norm,
going to
though.
assume. But I'm going to assume that I was taught.
it.
They taught it to me properly,
Yeah.
and that
Totally.
the ease of learning was
That's why he's back here.
pretty good. But yeah. So Spencer has not played this.
Nope.
No,
So
I
we're
got
gonna
to
get.
sit in.
Yeah.
We're going to get your opinion as far as like
outside looking in. Kinda.
outside looking in. Yeah.
Well, I saw, first off, it's deck building, multi-use cards
Yeah.
with worker placement. Not only
in
are all
Dune.
and Dune, 4 things I love. Because it's deck building, that automatically limits your choices. Because it's worker placement, that limits your choices. Because each card has more than one thing, it can only do one of them. That limits your choices, and that just calls for intensity and a great time when you're with the right people.
Right.
And I was seeing that, I was like, I really want to play this. It moves went pretty fast. There was one point where you're like, oh, it's my turn already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really want to get into this.
Yeah.
And more now that I've seen you guys play it.
Yeah.
And I'll say on that fact too, I'm sure you saw it as you were watching, but this is also by far from me the most limiting worker placement game I've ever played.
Next
Yeah.
to Agricola, this is. I
I
felt
guess I've only played that once a long time ago.
I wasn't as sad playing
Yeah.
this as I was playing Agricola.
I'm just saying the fact that
Yeah, it
But
doesn't
it
seem-
cards
feels-
tell you where you can go.
It
Right.
feels
It's so
feels
limiting.
that constrictive though. I
Yeah.
mean, it is really.
But the restriction, I believe there's a thing where you can get joy in figuring out how to deal with your
How to make that
restrictions,
work.
how to
Yeah.
make it
yeah,
work.
it's
Yeah.
working. You are required to be more creative
only do the
because
cards-
of the tighter parameters.
The cards can limit where you go, but you played a card that prevented people from going to spots, and you used that to full effect.
Yeah.
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 People
'cause
were like, I need to go here, and you're like, nope.
I would have ended the game a turn earlier had he not done that.
So it is a fantastic game for forcing you to really think things through. From what I could see, yeah, I really want to play it. I think the pieces look great. I want to play it more
Yeah, I
now
like
that
the
I've
colors
seen
a
the
lot. The yellow's a little
artwork and
weird.
everything.
But it's like sandy.
It's a sand yellow.
Yeah,
it's like
sandy
And I
yellow.
typically play yellow, and I don't mind it.
The
It's
only
on
thing I wish was in the game are sandworms.
Sure, like more aggressive.
More
sandworms.
aggressive
Sure,
sandworms. There was
Maybe there'll be an
walk without
expansion.
rhythm kind of
Yeah,
thing.
because there are some on the cards where you're like, oh, since I have this sandworm, I do extra damage in combat kind of thing. But there's no actively hunting you.
Right.
Sandworms.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh,
Yeah,
how
which
neat
was-
would a
which was a
entry
major
card
deal
be?
in the book.
Like when you draw an entry card and it says reveal to all players, sandworm attack, and like you have to lose all the people in the
Yeah,
conflict.
sure,
Like
yeah.
something
Unless-
like that would be so cool.
Unless
Are
you
you sure there's
have,
not one in
I,
there?
I don't know. Maybe there is.
unless you have the walk without rhythm card, in which case you don't.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Expansions.
Avoid
Think
it.
about it.
Avoid a sandworm attack. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah,
So,
so
yes.
I mean, there's a lot you can build on this.
Also, in this same category we
Uh-huh.
were talking about, it is kind of hard to find right now too.
Yeah. Direwolf has them on their website. Like they're
Correct.
sold out for right now, I think. Well, last I checked, they were sold out. But
This-
they
I
might
don't
be back
remember.
in now.
I'm gonna guess though that
It's going to be coming.
it's going to be coming. It's just the initial print runs are a little bit smaller.
Sure.
Yeah.
But this isn't like, oh, they only printed
Limited
X.
run.
Exactly. No,
right.
this is from Direwolf.
And the,
it'll
the
be
demand
It'll be
for
out there.
this is
Legendary.
going to be on shelves probably
yeah.
by the summer. You're going to be finding.
Yep. At your FLGS.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
gonna say, ask your FLGS if they can get it. They might be able to.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
might.
they might have some insight.
Or they might already have
yeah.
some on order.
True.
I
So
also,
get one put aside.
I also want to add, I have not seen the trailer for the new movie.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, sure.
Playing this game, I want to see the new
I
movie
kinda-
too.
Right?
I kind of want to go and watch that trailer now.
It's-
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
trying to
It's a
not
really
Trying to
good
not get
trailer.
trying to
spoilers.
not spoil anything though
Yeah.
either. Not that it can. I've read the book.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Yeah.
What,
this
there's
is true.
spice?
What spice?
Yeah.
Right on.
But anyway, so,
So cool.
the three of us who have played it, we're going to give it a rating.
Yep.
Since Spencer hasn't played it, he is going to.
I'll give it a thumbs up.
He's going to
There you
give it a
go.
thumbs up.
You get the Spencer thumbs up.
So Bob, 1 to 10, or would you like to explain our
wanna go
rating
first?
scale?
So the board game rundown has a rating scale where we average all of ours together. So we will each give a rating, and then we will average the total together, and that is the score that the board game rundown umbrella gives it, and that is the rating that will be on our BGG and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. So Bobby,
I really like it.
we played your copy.
We did play my copy.
That's why I didn't have as much fun.
That's probably, yeah. Like, I hadn't really heard about it, but Dan brought it up. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. So I went on there and I grabbed it, and I was glad I did.
Yeah.
It's a 9 for me.
That
I-
might be the highest game you've rated on this.
Is it? No.
I don't think you've given anything a 9 before, have you?
I gave one score higher.
Okay.
One thing a higher score, but this is the
This-
second
I
highest.
mean, this is pretty high.
Yeah,
for you.
'cause I'm sitting here, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to think of so we just did our top 30. I'm trying to think where would this be placed. It's right around the top 10.
Yeah.
It'll be pretty
Wow.
close to cracking the top 10.
Wow.
I enjoy it quite a bit.
You want me to go?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so I'll get my final thoughts in really quick, too. I have a couple things I wanted to say that are just... So I love this game. There were a couple things that really get at me about it, negatively, but it's all purposeful. It's all
On purpose,
it's
yeah,
in
yeah.
the design of the game, but I feel the fact that you're so limited on your locations gets so aggravating, and the fact that I think intrigue cards are a little too important in the game because someone can just get a bunch of intrigue cards that give them endgame victory points, and someone else can get a bunch of intrigue cards that are useless, and the person who got the victory point ones are gonna win. There's very little you can do about that. So there's a lot of luck involved in. I would say for you guys playing the game for your first time, just get as many of those as you possibly can. 'cause
Poor
that-
advice, because look, I got as many as I could.
It's true.
And
You
I
got a
finished
bunch
had
of
more
dead
than you,
last. Well, I kept spending mine.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
They are very powerful.
They're insanely powerful.
They're great.
So,
But intrigue is a very important aspect of things.
I totally don't see it as a negative gameplay wise. I'm just saying it frustrates the crap out of me when I'm playing it. Oh man, when I played with Bob that first time, I was talking out loud the whole time about this is this doing this and this, and it was a close game.
Yeah.
But I was so aggravated the whole time. I loved
Well,
it.
the most recent one we played besides just today, I thought I was way ahead. I'm triggering an end game, oh yeah, I got this. And Dan's like, I'm gonna win this conflict. Oh, and this gives me 2 victory points. And this, how do you gain 5 victory points out of 10 in the last round?
Yeah.
And you ended up beating me by one. but-
Again, intrigue cards.
Yeah.
To be fair, I was able to pull 3 points. That tells you how
Yeah.
bad I was. I pulled
Half
3
his
points on my
score.
last turn
Yeah.
and moved up quite a bit. Now, would have had 1 more point, but somebody stole it from me.
He does that.
Yep.
But anyway, so
You
your
stole one
score.
from me? Yeah. So anyway, so my score is actually I'm wavering a bit, but I actually am going to give it a 9. I love this game. I mean, like Bob said, I heard of this game first, and it was one of those moments too. I've had 3 of these moments with us where I'm just like, guys, have you heard about this game? Have you heard about this game? I'm just sharing it and stuff. And yeah, I was not disappointed at all. This game is fantastic, and like Bob, this is really high up there in my favorite games as well.
Yeah.
Top 10, I don't know because
It's
there's
close.
so many
There's so many
classics
good-
for me in
right.
there. But
Enough playthroughs.
But this might
man.
bump Battleship out of your top 10. That'd be
Or
amazing.
Strategic.
you sucked my sandworm.
Right. So,
So yeah.
going last.
Go for it,
You hit on it, and I agree. One of the things for me is I don't like Agricola. I don't like
Oh
how
yeah, misery.
I don't
Sure.
like how painful Agricola is. And again, I know it's in the design. I know it's purposeful, right? It is supposed to be that way. It's meant to be that way. This is similar, but this has so many other mechanics that I way more prefer, and the theme I prefer, and the art I prefer. So, I mean, it does lift, but I'm going to rate this in a way that I think that when I play this multiple times and I do this, we talk about this again, my score is going to change.
Sure.
But I'm going to come in as 7-5 because it is so difficult
Get your head around.
and limiting for me. Like,
I
your
agree.
turns are so limited.
They are.
I had a great time playing, but there were times where I was really frustrated because it's like, well, I can't even do this and I can't do this. So I guess I'm going to buy something which really didn't even help me later on. And that's part of the game, and I get it. And I don't really have a problem with it. And I don't think that that's a flaw in the design, but for my
Exactly.
own personal enjoyment. But I have a feeling that I play this game 3 or 4 more times, and we talk about this game again. If we were to do this rating after that, I'd probably come up to an 8. Like, I could see, or an 8.5.
I almost dropped it to an 8 just because of how frustrated this game makes me while I'm playing it.
Yep.
But I just don't see
But-
it as the game's fault, and I
but-
still love the game.
But I think,
So
though, that
it's
that's a sign
weird.
of a good game and good design if
Right.
it can invoke that kind of emotion and feeling out of you. Because it's not like I'm angry at the game. It's just like it just creates these situations, right? It's like I like playing tense games or timed games because I like the tension of it, right?
Right.
So this does provide that and give you that, and the theme is just amazing. So for the rundown score overall, who's doing the
I'll
spinning?
do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
We got an 8.5.
8.5. And honestly, this could go up
Yeah.
with between Spencer and I playing it more, me playing more and Spencer getting to play it.
Yeah. I think
mean-
because Dan and I have had a chance to play it a few more times, so we
yeah.
kind of like worked out some of the kinks
Sure.
and figuring things. You know.
Sure, but I mean, this is a great game.
Yeah.
I would say that I
a
mean,
solid score.
even though I said it's a 7.5, knowing you guys and stuff and like the other kinds of people that we game with, it's like, oh no, get Dune Imperium. Like, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll also say too, this is going to be kind of weird. I suggest this game plays in like an hour.
and
right?
that's a huge bonus.
Yeah. I was going to say though, I suggest for your first game, take 2 hours to play the game. Sit down, tell everyone this game will take about 2 hours. Don't get on anyone about analysis paralysis. There's a lot of stuff happening in this game. Let
Sure.
everyone take their turns. The game will take a while. You will get a lot of understanding out of your first play, and that second play is going to take half the time.
Yeah.
So I really suggest, instead of rushing everyone the first game and then always feeling like, man, this game's so stressful every time we play, take time the first game. Take twice as long if you need to play the game. Understand what's happening, and you will massively benefit every play from
Yeah,
then on.
that's good advice.
I believe that.
that's really
Good
good
advice
advice.
for any game.
Yeah, I guess so. Just
Yeah.
games that are this thinky, though.
Just
Like,
thinky-
maybe don't
thinky
take 2
games.
hours on code names.
No.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, man, Dune Imperium. This is a great game.
Yeah.
This is gonna be. You're gonna see this like just shoot up the BGG
Yeah,
list.
get
I'm
after it.
sure.
Mhm.
It's going to be on the
Um,
hotness a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially while it's hard to get. But don't freak out. Like I wouldn't go out on the secondary market and pay stupid amounts of money.
$80, $100.
If you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
wait for this to show up in your game store, go to their website and just buy it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. and
Save
just wait.
yourself a lot of time and money
Yeah.
and headaches.
Yeah, their shipping was really good, too. I got it well before I even got their email saying it was shipped.
Yeah.
Even better.
So, yeah.
I got the email first, but it still only took like a week, 2
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah, it's not bad.
So
Last thing I'll say, a little bit of announcement here. It'll be a while, okay, guys? But we are finally starting to try to work on our how to play videos.
Oh yeah.
So we're working on the script for a Nemesis one, and I am currently working on the script for a Dune Imperium one. So I'm going to go ahead and do this and click up here. It's going to be a while. We're talking months probably, but we
It will
are
happen.
starting
It'll
to
be
do these,
there.
and eventually we will have a Dune Imperium how to play out. We're working on those. We just don't want to be. We want to be a little original with how we feel about it, not just like, oh, this feels like every other review I could find on YouTube. We
Right.
want you guys to come to us because you enjoy our how to plays, not just because it's the first one you clicked on.
Yep.
Right. So yes, so little spoiler, we will have a how to play on this one as soon as we decide we're ready to start filming.
Yep.
This.
sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for the
Rawr.
for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
I've been Bob.
I've been Dan.
And I've been Spencer.
The spice must flow. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.